You're listening to the Cars of Carlisle Network, podcast episode number 135, featuring Mike Hoose of Hoose Designs.
Cars of Carlisle is your favorite internationally downloaded podcast about all things automotive. Darren and his CFC team are ever searching for interesting automotive happenings, real stories about real car people, and fun features to inform and entertain you. Each week, the Cars of Carlisle crew brings you show topics ranging from car shows to team adventures to auto racing weekends to behind-the-scenes human interest stories from car nuts that live across town, across the country, or even across the globe. Come join the road trip.
Today, head over the mountain to Perry County to meet Mike Hoose, founder and owner of Hoose Designs. Mike is not only a car nut, but he has a vision and ability to create unique customs. Hear about Mike's projects and personal vehicles, ranging from a 1926 Chevrolet Sedan to his street-legal 1987 Chevy S-10 gasser that can run the quarter mile in the low 12s. It's time to hang out at Hoose Designs in New Bloomfield, Pennsylvania. So, let's get revved up.
Hello and welcome back, Cubers, to your favorite informative automotive podcast. I am your trusted host, Darren. As always, it is great to have you back with us again this week. In a few minutes, we'll be speaking with Mike Hoose. Remember, this is your podcast. Together, it's all about car community and car culture. Hope everybody in the U.S. had a good, safe, and enjoyable, memorable Thanksgiving holiday. And for those all over the world, I hope you're starting to get that holiday spirit as Christmas is not too far away. And this pandemic situation has caused a lot of challenges for businesses all over, both automotive and otherwise. But we want to say to our listeners, for those that are in the Mid-Atlantic area, if you have a chance, you're going through South Central Pennsylvania, be sure to add AACA Museum to your places to stop and visit. It's a great place to spend an afternoon or a Saturday. In fact, they are open and doing a great job with social distancing and handling everything with the current COVID situation. But as you heard us talk about in episode 130, which was it was published on October 28th, we had a tour by the guest curator, Bill Sangri. But check that out. The fact that there are hemispherical head engines in vehicles, motorcycles, cars, everything, and that not just the U.S., but France, Germany, Italy, Japan, Sweden, the U.K., OEMs from all over utilize that hemispherical head design. So check that out. The exhibit will be open until April 23rd, 2021. Please support all the great work that the AACA Museum is doing. And if you would, check out the Yeah, It's Got a Hemi exhibit in person. That exhibit will be open until April 23rd of 2021. Okay, as we get ready to head over the mountain to Hoose Designs in New Bloomfield, just want to remind you, if you have not yet subscribed to Cars of Carlisle, what are you waiting for? Don't miss out. By doing so, you'll have this podcast queued up and ready to go for you each and every week. And if you would, and you feel we're worth it, 5-star ratings would be greatly appreciated, especially out on iTunes. That helps our street cred, and with the search engine optimization and Google searches, that gives us a lot more credibility and gets the message out to more and more fans. And as we grow, so do you, and we'll be able to provide even more content, greater value, and certainly land even bigger opportunities to share with all of you. Also, in doing that and supporting the podcast as we work to get flat out, there's PayPal. You can go to paypal.me/Cars of Carlisle. Be another great way if you wish to help donate and support this channel and the work that we do here. That will do a lot in the way of helping us provide that to you. And it means a lot to us, and we thank you so much for any and all support that you can provide. Okay, trivia question. We're going to be talking to Mike, and he has a lot of cool vehicles, and one of which is, you heard, that S-10 gasser. And the question for this week is, where does the term gasser come from? That answer awaits at the end of this episode. Well, to share some background on Mike, he has a 1926 Chevrolet Sedan with a 27 era 1928 Chevy motor in it. He's going to be doing all kinds of work on that, but he wanted something that he's working towards something that'll be a little more reliable, that he can take his family in, and they can run cold air or heat and enjoy it as a cruiser for the family. So that is a really cool vehicle you're going to hear about. I just mentioned Gasser as far as the trivia question, and that 87 S10 that he has a 350 V8, has a TH350 tranny in it, and he is just put all kinds of amazing work into that. I know he has Howard's Big Daddy Rattler roller camshaft, and he's doing roller rockers, aluminum heads, and additional upgrades. He wants it to be street legal. He can drive it to the strip, but at the same time he can run those low 12s consistently, and you'll enjoy hearing about that project. He has a 23 Model T. It's one of the last total performance chassis before sold to the Speedway, and he had a fiberglass tub for it, but he decided to go steel. So he's still looking for a body for that, but the chassis is all set with a 4-inch drop axle, coil-over rear with Watts linkage. I think he did both front and rear connected with radius arms. It's got a 350 in this rod, and it's got twin 450 CFM Hollies on it. They're it's got a decent amount of horsepower. He's guessing it's putting out about 550, 600, and you figure the thing weighs just under a ton, or comes in just about 2,000 pounds. He's thinking it's just under, so you figure that's going to be quite a fun car to have back out on the road here in the new year. He's helping work on his dad's 55 Chevy, which that's a great era of body and vehicle in my mind for a gasser. And Mike also puts a lot of work into helping veterans. It's one area that he is very strong and passionate about, and doing fundraisers and such to help with that, whether it be he's working on the idea of a tribute truck for the nation's heroes and some other things. So I'll let him tell you more about that. But certainly I know he'd appreciate any support in his efforts in that area. So without any further ado, let's go up and over that mountain to New Bloomfield. It's time to head to the shop of Hoose Designs and talk to Mike Hoose. Hello, Cubers. This is Darren, and I'm here in New Bloomfield, PA, just over the mountain, about 35 miles from Carlisle and Perry County, and I'm hanging out with Mike Hoose in his 65 by 75 pole barn. Mike, thanks for opening up Hoose Designs for me this evening.
Sure.
Well, this building alone is impressive. We were talking about the fact, you said it's 14 foot to the...
Yeah, 14 foot to the bottom rafters.
Yeah, and you're going to put a lift and everything else in here. I mean, it's just... Yeah. This is... I can see why, once you saw this, when you bought the property, it's like... Yeah, we'll figure out the house. The garage is great.
Yeah, it was definitely like, husband saw the garage, wanted a garage. Wife saw the house, wanted the house. So we were good.
Lovely A-frame, comes with garage.
Yep.
Well, how long have you been completely immersed in the whole being a car nut?
So I was born in 85, and I think it was the early 90s when the Corvette 01 came out, the Grand Sport. Mm-hmm. And ever since then, I've been in love with Corvettes. I have a Corvette tattoo on me. Mm-hmm. I've been in love with them ever since. Mm-hmm.
Did you ever get to drive the 01?
No, actually, I never did. Okay. Not that one.
Okay.
I grew up going to the Corvette show in Carlisle. And then my dad, every year, we used to go down to the street rod show in York. Yep. And started falling in love with street rods. And then... got big into the muscle cars. My brother's first car was a 69 RSZ28, the DZ302. Mm-hmm. So obviously, we were drooling over that car when we were younger. It was just a great car for him, and then that got me into it. 69 Camaros are up there for one of my favorite cars ever since that. Yeah. And just been into it ever since.
But you have an appreciation for Model A's and things too.
Oh, absolutely. So when I was younger, probably my teenage years, it was all about muscle cars, stuff like that. And got into Model A's, Model T's, older Chevys, anything 30s. Anything really, but 30s and older. They just drew my attention. When you build a Corvette or a Camaro or anything like that, you got to put body panels on it. You got to follow lines, all that stuff. You go back to these 20s and 30s cars, you can do whatever the hell you want. You know what I mean? It's fair game. Mm-hmm. Street rods, muscle cars. I hate the term rat rod, but some stuff I guess you could call it a rat rod. But you go back there, you could pull the fenders off. You could take the hood off, take the sides off. It's fair game. Whatever you want to do.
That's right.
Motor popping out, I like motors, so
Yeah.
you see the big motor sticking out. I like that stuff. I mean, you can customize whatever the hell you want. Cut the frame down, lower that thing. I mean,
There's really nothing wrong.
right,
Yeah.
right. I mean, so I got into that probably in my later teens, early 20s, and I just never looked back. I mean, I'm into anything now. I will do anything, but I still love Camaros, still love Corvettes. I just have a thing, in 59, I think, is the greatest year of cars ever.
I mentioned earlier about a Caddy.
Yeah, 59 Cat is my favorite car, hands down. But, I mean, I don't think you could pick a car in 59 that's not good looking.
Right.
Every single car in 59 looks good,
Right.
Right. So, I mean, back then, cars had characters, 50s, even back to the 20s and 30s. I mean, there's car companies out there people don't even know about, Moon and, Knight. And, I mean, Willie started back then. I mean, there's all kinds of cars people don't know about. LaSalle's Cadillacs back then. I mean, they're cool. I actually have a set of LaSalle headlights over there. They're the big ones.
Yeah, they're massive.
They're really sought after, but those are always cool. I'm going to probably throw them on a hot rod here soon, too. But, they just had a lot of character back then. And a lot of people don't know this either, but turn of the century, before the Model T came out, gas engines were the least number of engines in cars. Like, it was all electric. It was steam, all that kind of stuff. So,
right.
I mean, it's just wicked when you get into history. So,
well, tell them a little bit about some of the projects. I mean, obviously, Hoose Designs, and we'll at the end of this interview we'll have tell people where to find you and everything on Facebook, what have you. But what I know you mentioned about maybe doing an engine swap for your dad's 55 Chevy.
Yeah.
Some of the projects you're working on.
Yeah. So. Obviously in the shop here now, I got that 56 Ford. That's a good friend of mine. He's actually
customers, right?
Yeah, customer of mine. Yep. And that one, he kind of bought that one. He wanted to street rod something, and he got a good price for that. So I'm going to tear that thing down, make it good. Obviously, the front end's all tore apart already, but so the front end of that still has the original Ford. The Henry Ford straight axle on it. So that's going to come out, and then I'll end up throwing, a lot of people throw the Mustang 2 front ends on, but they actually make a kit you weld onto the frame, and then I think it's Backyard Customs makes it, and then you could basically bolt up a Crown Vic front end, 03 and up. So that's what we're going to do to his, give him some nice steering and handling up there.
Sure, yeah.
And then that's actually going to get a Coyote 5.0 motor in it, and probably stick automatic transmission. I think that's what he wants to do. But he wants something to cruise around. He's not a hands-on guy, not a mechanical guy. He just likes the old cars. Sure. So that we'll do that thing up for him, get that thing ready to roll, have a Coyote 5.0, which is actually a first for me. I'm used to LS swap, stuff like that,
right.
not Coyotes. Yeah. So that'll be a first. And I think it's actually a 2019 Coyote motor, so it's pretty new that he's putting in this thing.
Okay.
But that we'll do that thing up, get that ready for him. Whatever else he wants to do to it, we'll get that done. And then the other car sitting over there that's customers are sitting in the garage right now is a 72 Cutlass.
Cherry.
Oh, yeah. 72 Cutlass with 33,180 miles on it.
That's unbelievably.
Cutlass Supreme.
It was a grocery getter for an older lady.
Yeah. Still in the fam. Same family since day one. 1972, bought it Titus, Oldsmobile Cadillac down in Hanover, Pennsylvania.
That is so nice.
Yeah. Gorgeous car.
And you said that was like the top of the line.
Yeah, top of the line trim package in that.
Yeah.
It is a 4-door, but hey, I mean, it's gorgeous.
It is. Yeah, it's an eye-catcher.
And it's got a nice 350 Olds rocket motor in it still, all original. I mean, it's nice.
Beautiful.
Nice, yeah.
And then the 26.
Yeah, 26, so that's the family car. That's mine. So that, hopefully I get to start that this winter. So I'm going to pull the body off of that, and I'll custom make a frame for that from scratch and throw a different chassis under it.
You talked about the brakes.
Yep. So that thing has a cable brake in the back, no brakes up front, and a lot of the frame on that car is wood too. So I got to make sure that the frame on that's safe. I got 2 young kids, so get the frame going on that. Get juice brakes in it. That thing will probably sit lower too. I'm probably going to try to keep the fenders on it though. I want to do something a little bit different. It is a 4-door too, so I want to go to shows and something that's cool, take the family and be a little different. I don't want to gut everything. And I'm going to change the engine too. I'll probably pull that motor since it's a 27, 28 motor. I'll probably pull it and save it, but I'll throw something more I'm not going to throw a V8 in it, but I'll
Right.
probably put like some newer I'll probably end up throwing that 2.5 Iron Duke in it.
Okay.
Out of like an S-10.
Yeah.
It's actually sitting right there.
Okay. Yes. So again, a little more reliable. And
Yep, a little more reliable.
That'll
A
get
little bit more power.
That'll get you up the mountain.
Yeah, that thing has 26 horsepower, I think it is.
Okay.
And that motor has, I think it's around 100, 125. So
That'll get you over the mountain.
yeah, that won't.
That with a full load, maybe not.
Yeah. Yeah, and then the two other cars sitting in here, they're mine too. So that S10, that's the...
That is so cool.
Yeah. That's the...
Can't wait to see you up at Beaver running the quarter on that.
Heck yeah, I can't wait to see what I get in that thing.
What would you think your ET would be if you just had to throw a spitball?
I'm hoping I'm around a 12 flat, maybe high 11s, low 12, something like that, hopefully. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I could be way off, too. I mean, that thing could be putting out more horsepower than that.
I hope you're low 11s, high 10s.
I don't want to go below 10, though. To be honest, so in certain classes, you have to be careful where you run. Mm-hmm. If I go below 11 in that, I can't run street, I believe. Or maybe it's 12. 12 might be street, and then 11's hot rod trophy, and those are the two classes I like to run. I'm not a guy that goes up there every single weekend and race. I don't race for points. I race for fun. So I go up the main holidays, Labor Day, Memorial Day, 4th of July, and then go up a couple weekends here and there.
Okay.
So for me, it's more fun. I'm hoping my son gets into it. So if he gets into it, we'll be up there a lot more, I'm sure. But that'd be nice if I could get 12s. Low 12s, maybe even 11s in it. I mean, heck, for all I know, that motor could be putting out a heck of a lot more, and I could break 10s,
I imagine.
So, I mean, before I did that, so I did drag race that before I did all that to it, and that was a crate motor. And when it was a crate 350 with all those stock crate components, like the GM Goodrich motor, I think it's like 200 some horsepower, 300 horsepower. That thing ran 13s, high 13s, low 14s, I think.
That's
it was.
respectable.
Yeah, for what it is.
I'll include photos on Instagram, but I know it's because of its age and everything. But I love how you have it set up, kind of gasser style.
Yeah, it's definitely a gasser. I put the straight axle under the front. I wanted something different. There's a lot of S10s that run up there, and everything I do, I always like to do something different.
Sure.
So I set it up for gasser. It's definitely set up to run drag. But again, at some point, I will probably put some street tires on and run it down the street. It is streetable. It is still fully street legal. It does all the lights, everything like that. So it is something I probably will run on the street at some point. But I want to focus on drag racing here first.
Will you trailer it up? I mean, do you have a...
Yeah, I'll definitely trailer it up.
Okay.
Yep, okay. Definitely trail it up the track, run up there.
Yeah, I didn't know if you would do all the mods and swap outs up there or just throw it in the back.
No, yeah.
That's a lot of work on track day.
Yeah, and then something can happen up there too, God forbid, and then I have to deal with somehow getting it back. But,
yeah.
So.
And then, of course, the T-bucket frame here, right?
Yeah, so that's a 23. That's actually one of the last 23 chassis that came out of Total Performance in Massachusetts before they sold out to Speedway Motors. And when I went to Speedway, it was kind of disappointing because Speedway basically bought it for the body and nothing else. And, Speedway, everything's made in China.
Yeah. Not
everything, but a lot of stuff is. So, that was kind of disappointing. But so I kind of pieced it together and got it to where it is. And that's probably pushing 600 horsepower, maybe more, maybe a little less.
That's incredible.
Yeah. And that's the one. My wife and I got married. Went down to her parents. Probably had a quarter-mile long driveway. We got married at her property, and then we went down in that, and it ended up dying at the end of the driveway. It wouldn't start anymore, and I found out it's because of the transmission. So that's why the transmission was pulled there. Got it rebuilt, and then just a matter of putting it back together now and finding the right Model T body for it, which is 1918 to 1925. So I ended up buying a 26, 27, but I found out it was too big. So I had to go back to square one. 26, 27 T is the same size as 28, 29 Model A.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that.
I didn't either, yeah.
So it's a little bit too big for the chassis.
Okay. In width or length or both? Or?
Both.
Okay.
Both.
Wow.
Yep.
Well, it looks mean just sitting there
it does.
as an exoskeleton.
Yeah.
It really does.
Yeah, it is a really cool chassis. I mean, that motor is cool. I had a lot of time in that motor. I mean, making sure it looks cool, making sure it's factory correct, and then...
Well, you told me earlier, can you just share some of the componentry and what you did to it? And
so the headers are actually called Zumi headers. they basically just come out and then they just gurgle. You know, there's nothing to them. And one of the biggest drawbacks with Zoomies is there's no back pressure. So I ended up putting Harley Davidson baffles in each one of them to give it some back pressure.
Okay.
And then I wrapped them obviously with exhaust wrap to give that old school look.
Yeah.
And then it's got two 450 Hollies on it. On top of an old school, it's an Edelbrock TR1Y intake, I believe, which is the old 1960s tunnel ram, and it's kind of period correct for like the 60s hot rod movement. Yep. It's a cool looking tunnel ram. It's got a different look to it, and I just love the way that thing sits. Actually, some of the parts are sitting behind us, and it's got a shotgun scoop on it, so it's sitting right there.
Yeah.
So that shotgun scoop was put on top, and then I mean, it does look pretty mean when it's all together.
Wow.
And yeah, it's definitely got some kick to it.
Yeah, at 600 horse and weighing about 2,000 pounds, I can see that's a good ratio.
Yeah, yep.
Well, seeing here the C7 Corvette kids version. I mean, your son Wyatt, he's next generation.
Oh yeah, he's definitely next generation. So he's
doing some wheel stands. You know?
Yeah.
Based on some mods you've been doing.
Yeah,
right?
there's videos on YouTube of him doing some wheelies and stuff, and just getting at it. He'll rip around in that Corvette, and then he'll throw it in drive and rip it back in reverse and do some spins. But all his little Power Wheels in here, they all have the Walt or Ryobi drill battery swap out to him, so you can go a little faster, give him a little more juice to him, and he likes that. So, and then that's actually, I don't even know if you've seen that yet. The wagon sitting there.
Yeah, I did.
So I built that for his first or second birthday.
Wow.
So it's built from scratch.
That's so cool.
Yeah, and just took him. He loves sitting in that thing, going for rides and that. So now it's actually his daughter's turn, or his sister's turn to go through there. Okay. My daughter's turn.
Okay.
But yeah, he likes all that stuff.
Okay, it is. Wow.
What's that?
I was just looking how it really did. It's completely fabricated.
Yeah, it's 100% fabricated from nothing.
That's
started from scratch. Yep.
That is impressive.
Yep.
Wow. Very cool. What do you hope to get into? I mean, obviously you talked about the engine swap out of the Firebird.
Yep.
For your dad's 55.
Oh yeah. So we got that. I had a Firebird that I lost to an accident, but I ended up buying it back, and it's an LS1 T56. It's got some good power to it and doesn't have a lot of age on it. So we have my dad's 55 Chevy, which is really a really nice 55 Chevy. And it has a 327 with a 4-speed in it. And my dad, he's older. He wants something with power steering, wants something a little bit easier to drive, something easier to start, fuel-injected type thing. So when I wrecked the car, I ended up buying it back and figured, hey, that T56 and that LS1 would go good in that 55. That's something he's wanted to do, too. I mean, he's talked about doing an LS1 swap for a while.
Sure.
So there she is. That'll be going in there at some point.
Are there other dream jobs that you'd love to have for Hoose Design? Like what?
Yeah, so actually, I want to build a couple Model A's too. That's why I have a Model A chassis sitting there, and then I have the body in the back. So I'll build another Model A. And then I actually want to build like I don't know what the heck you would actually call it. Have you ever heard of Trog, the Race of Gentlemen out in New Jersey?
I just was talking to somebody about that.
So I don't want to build one for that, but I want to build that kind of type of racer. But I want to do an old school type racer, probably based off like a Model T or a Model A. I want to do a dovetail in the back, but I want the driver to sit up front with the engine behind him. So like kind of like a Trog mid-engine car, and I want to do independent front and rear on it too. So I'll probably use like a Corvette rear end.
Nice.
So I think that'll end up being pretty cool. I don't know. We'll see. And then I want to do. There's all kinds I want to do. I want to do a 59 Cadillac really bad.
Yeah, as much as you love those things.
Yeah. I had the opportunity to buy one a couple years ago for like $4,000. It was a junker, but heck, I don't care about that stuff. I can fix all that stuff. Yeah. And I passed on it because I didn't have the room at the time. But man, I got the room now.
Yes, you would. Because you got the 65 by 75. Then you have another pole barn. You said back behind all this.
Yeah, 65 by 25, 2-story actually. Yep.
My friend, you have the space.
Yes, I do. Yeah, and there's nothing in that but wood for the wood stove. So.
Wow. Do you want to talk a little bit about every every year you're trying to do something to benefit the veterans. I think that's a really important message to get out there, too.
Yeah, so every year, actually, the last 2 years, we've done a lot of giveaways and stuff on Veterans Day, which
you did
is
the free
November
oil
11th.
changes, right?
Well, so the way that we raised money last year is we got a bunch of stuff together. We went around to local businesses. I donated a lot of stuff too, and we basically donated prizes. So one of the things I gave away last year, I airbrushed a helmet that Alejandro Villanueva from the Steelers signed, and it was. I mean, it had 7 different colors on it. It was one side was Steelers, the other side was the Army Rangers because that's where he was from. That's why I picked him, because he was an Army Ranger, and he signed it. And then I ended up giving that away last year to raise money. And we got there's a local farmer that donated some popcorn, some gift cards, that kind of stuff. He's a farmer, but he also has sells meat and stuff, so he helped out too. And we gave all that stuff away on November 11th. So Veterans Day is when we gave it away. But we collected all the money for a couple months, I think it was, and then all month of November, any veteran or active duty could come here and pick up oil change kit, oil change, depending on what it was. And we ended up giving away, I forget the number. I think it was around 10 oil changes, give or take. So not as much as we want to do, but it still helped out a lot. We did go out of... What's that?
No, even that made a difference.
Oh, yeah.
I mean,
yeah. So, I mean, it was fun to do that kind of stuff, and the local veterans, they appreciated that. Be nice to, do some more. So this year I announced, which is going to take me a while to do this, because I got to collect, parts, money. Still even got to get the damn truck, but it's been a dream of mine to build a car and give away to a veteran or active duty. So I figured, you know what, let's do it. Cool. Let's just announce it. So we'll sell shirts. We'll do different kind of stuff to raise some money for it. And that's going to start this month, November. I don't know when this will come out. But...
Yeah, actually, we're going to release this by the end of November. I have it on the schedule, so we can.
Perfect.
The timing would be good.
Yeah, there we go.
And you can even email me a quick write-up, and I can put that in when I send out.
There we go.
Let's do it.
So, perfect. So, again, this is going to take a couple years to do this. I mean, we got to come up with the money, the parts, all that stuff. But all my labor will be all donated to it, 100% free. I'm not going to take any of the money for that. Wow. All the money will go to parts, whatever.
That's awesome, man.
What I'd like to do is something, I'd like to do like 60s or back, but it'd be cool to do something like that Ford or Chevy or something like that, like the 50s, and do like some kind of cool street rod. The goal for that is really like when the veteran or active duty gets it, it's like, hey, this is like my showpiece. So we want to focus on the whole background too. So the truck's going to be like armed forces focused.
Gotcha.
So my plan would be to run, like for the starter switch, I'll probably run a tank starter switch on it and stuff.
Very nice.
And I'm going to incorporate that kind of stuff in.
Yeah.
I think it'll turn out pretty cool that way. Make sure the paint job's that way,
Maybe some riveting or something.
Hell yeah, man. Yeah. Incorporate all that, make sure we get the Navy, the Marines, the Army, Air Force, Coast Guard, all that stuff. Make sure we get them all in there. It really just a pride thing, take it around, show it, tell them what it is, that kind of thing. So
I like it.
It'd just be cool to give that away.
Good for you.
Yeah, I hope it draws a lot of positive
Well, if
attention.
Cars of Carlisle can help put the word out and help promote for you, we will certainly do that.
Yeah, I appreciate it. Really do.
We talked earlier about how neither of us were active duty and kind of wish we had been able to contribute and give back to our country that way. So
that's
at the very least, we can maybe try.
Yeah. I mean, half the time some people look down on them, which is completely wrong in my opinion.
It's terrible.
Yeah.
Well, we are at the White Flag. I'll give you the final say. I mean, if you want to, on Facebook, how can we find Hoose Designs?
Yeah, so Facebook and Instagram, those are the two I'm on. Post a lot on there. I actually just posted today about a trailer I did for somebody else, which was the last project that left. Facebook and Instagram, it's both at Hoose Designs.
HOOSE
Yep.
Designs.
It's like Moose, but with an H.
Yep. Okay.
So Hoose Designs, Facebook, Instagram, and then we also have YouTube, but there's not a lot on there yet. We'll build up to that at some point. So.
Sure. Okay. Well, thank you so much, man, for opening up.
Thank you, Darren. I appreciate it.
This garage is incredible, and we definitely want to help promote here end of November.
Yeah, thanks,
all the work
man.
you're doing. All right.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
We are back in Studio A in Carlisle, Pennsylvania, and on behalf of the entire team here at Cars of Carlisle, we thank you for listening this week. We hope you enjoyed this week's show guest, Mike Hoose of Hoose Designs. A big thank you to you, Mike, for opening your shop up to me and giving a really fun interview, and had a great evening hanging out with you, and look forward to doing some things in 2021. So let's downshift to this week's trivia answer. The question, let's recap, was where did the term gasser come from? Well, thanks to, again, some additional detail that I wanted to add here. We all know that for the most part, a gasser is a type of rod or hot rod that really was very familiar and comfortable on the drag strips of the U.S., particularly in the late 1950s and then all the way up until about the early 1970s. That was at the time before Pro Stock was more mainstream. These were the fastest stock-appearing drag race cars at the time. And as I did a little more research into Wikipedia, we know that a gasser is typically centered around, or it's with a closed body production model, and those vehicles can range even as far back as the 30s up until the mid 60s for the most part. As you would imagine, anything extraneous, from heaters to air conditioning to power steering units, everything that's extraneous is stripped off of the vehicle to get rid of that weight. It is jacked up using a beam axle or tubular axle, and that provides better weight distribution on acceleration. It again throws all of the weight to the rear axle to get the rear rubber down to the track for a stronger hookup and to connect on launch. And typically, body work is either done with fiberglass panels or stripped interiors, and going with plexiglass windows and anything that again can minimize any of that weight. And the engines themselves are typically swapped out, of course, to a much larger block. Stock engines typically were not kept in that. And then any kind of forced induction, whether it be a Roots supercharger or anything like that, in order to boost overall output. So if not familiar, that is what a gasser is. Thank you so much to everyone at the Porsche Mechanicsburg team. In fact, if you are in the market for a Porsche, whether it be pre-owned or new, please check out Porsche Mechanicsburg. They are located at 6625 Carlisle Pike in Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, not too far from either Hershey or Carlisle. They are part of the Faulkner Automotive Group, which has been around since 1932. What we're excited about, and you've been hearing us talk about this over the last several months, is Porsche Mechanicsburg is building an incredible new state-of-the-art Porsche Center. It will be completed here in the first quarter of 2021. And with that, they're going to have all kinds of events to be hosted and what have you. We're looking forward to being part of those. But what's really great is just the level of expertise at Porsche Mechanicsburg. The fact that their mechanics have essentially PhDs in Porsche engineering, and they are some of the finest and most highly trained in the world right here in central Pennsylvania. So for those that may be in the market for a Cayenne, a Macan, a Porsche 911, which is the new 992 series, a Porsche 718, a Panamera, be sure to check out our friends at Porsche Mechanicsburg. We'd like to thank them again for all that they do in support of this show. While we're on that proverbial last lap, my friends, the white flag is waving. It's time to go flat out on that final turn heading into this week's finish line. I want to say thank you to everyone who helps make this show possible. Thanks to each of you for being fans and coming back week after week. We are so grateful to have you here. And in fact, 2021 can't be anything but a better year than 2020, and we're very optimistic about that and looking forward to some great things that already we are hard at work. In fact, I've been putting in some late nights and long hours trying to connect with future guest experiences, some great opportunities to talk to some organizations and to some other automotive heavies and instrumental folks in our industry. So we're truly anticipating some great things coming to you here in the weeks and months ahead. So for now, I will say to you, car community, car culture, drive well, be well, take care.